Let's do it. Welcome to Straight Red Card. We're going to, in this segment, we were going to map out our top 4, 5, 6 center forwards going forward. But then the soccer OG, Max Bretos. And let's be clear, I know we've joked around about Max in former shows, but we have nothing against Max. We love Max.
No, absolutely. Yeah. I think our jokes were just in jest, if you will. Just for the shits and or giggles.
Okay. So before we get to the segment, and I mentioned that we were going to do this segment on our own, but then somebody else did it, and that was the soccer OG.
Oh, motherfucker.
Yeah, that guy.
Yeah, damn it.
We've interviewed a bunch of his friends, so hopefully he will think about coming on our show as well.
Do it, Max.
Of course, we haven't interviewed any of his close friends since 2019. Yeah, I know I went real old there. 2000 and
1999,
08, 09. I don't know. That's might be when we interviewed Mark Brogandino and Bobby McMahon and all the guys he used to work with on the old channels. So, but he came out with his the OG top 6 center forwards, and
which I mean, let's be frank. When we talk about like the top 6, I know we did whatever top 4, top 5 initially, but even then, unless we're talking about injuries occurring, I feel like you top 3 or 4, I think is sufficient enough at this point.
Probably, but he did 6, and
you got to include everybody. I guess everybody gets a trophy.
Yeah. How lit are you right now? I'm pretty lit.
You know what? And so between the last segment and this current segment, we talked for an hour about various topics, and I drank an entire massive drink, probably about a good 32-ounce Bev.
Dude, yeah, I am fucked up.
If I have to take a 40-second break to go take a piss, shit happens.
It might happen for me too. I mean, I'm pretty lit right now because it's funny when we take the breaks. That's when I do my fucking imbibing, and that's when I get the most fucked up. It's not really during the show that happens, so it's really weird. So we took an hour and we were just ranting and raving about all kinds of things that are none of your business, motherfuckers.
We actually, the funny thing is we actually stopped about 3 times to start this topic.
Yes.
And then continue to talk.
Yeah, exactly. Because we're gonna we're gonna start. No, we're not gonna start.
No, you know,
we got shit to talk about. Yeah. Okay, so the soccer OG had his 1 through 6. And
for strikers,
for strikers, center forwards,
sure,
strikers. His number 6 was Sargent. I thought that was harsh until I thought about it more, and the fact that both you and I said, yeah, maybe Josh needs to stay home for a while.
Yeah, this is one of those murky situations where I'm more than content with having Sargent on the top 3 called in the window, but personally I think it would benefit us more if he were to stay at home and just reclaim his mojo, if you will.
I mean, yeah, he's got no mojo, Brett. That's the problem.
Mojo-less.
He is mojo-less. Listen, it's not helping. He plays for Norwich, but even it didn't help him before when he played for Werder Bremen. But the problem with Sargent in general is he's lacking a lot of hoppy. He needs more hoppy. He needs more Dempsey. He needs more whatever. He needs something, and he's missing it. He's, so until he gets that thing, then he needs to probably. I'm not upset with Max for doing Sargent as 6.
So our good friend Taylor, Berlin. Berliner.
Yeah.
He's been on us for months about Sargent not being a striker and being more of a winger. But of recently, he's kind of changed his tone, and he's kind of changed how he thinks of Sargent, not as a striker, not as a winger, but as a midfielder. So Sargent, so Berliner is saying like, Sargent would be great in our midfield.
That is very interesting. I'm hoping he means that as a CAM, but if he doesn't,
in fairness, as a number 9, Sargent tends to check back into our defensive third just to get the ball.
He's a great defender. Yeah. He really is. He
stopped several goals from going in.
Yeah. He's a lot of energy. I think that
potential new center back option.
I see what he's saying there. Hey, man, there have been a lot of guys who were strikers who turned out to be either left backs or center backs.
What the fuck? I'm spacing.
Breck Shea.
No, not Breck Shea. Tactical would like that one. I'm spacing the Houston Dynamo that went to Europe or to England, who went from striker to midfielder to center back. Spacing who he was.
Are you talking about, I'm just guessing at this point, Jeff Cameron?
Yes.
Okay. Yes. We nailed it.
Great example. We didn't have to Google it. I promise you, there was no cut, no snip.
No,
we didn't just spend 15 minutes looking up Houston Dynamo players.
No,
I promise you that.
No, came straight from this brain. Yes, Jeff Cameron.
But yes, he went from playing as a striker to a more or less a midfielder, and then a 6, and then a center back /6.
Dude, he's played all over. He played right back. He played center defensive mid. He played center back. The dude played everywhere. So,
but to that point, yes.
So Hoppy, he has his number 5 though, Brett. And I'm thinking, man, I think I'd move Hoppy.
Low.
Yeah,
what would that be? Low? That'd be low.
That'd be low for me. I want to move Hoppy up higher, but it's just because I believe in Hoppy. And so, okay, Hoppy 5, fine. Weah 4. I feel like in one game, Max bumped Weah up the charts here to 4.
Center striker.
I would have Hoppy ahead of Weah. I would put Hoppy at 4 and Weah at 5.
I know Weah's played the position, but I wouldn't necessarily call him a center striker candidate. I
think he's more of a second striker.
I see Weah as a winger because that's what we play as. And that's where he's going to be pigeonholed. So I don't think he's in the contention for center striker. Weah is off the bench winger at this point. After Aronson at this point, really. Because, I mean, Aronson's production, 5 goals in 10 games? I mean, if it wasn't for having Pulisic and Reyna in front of him, he should be starting.
Yeah, but I think what Max didn't consider when he made this list is how many of these people, players he mentioned, are actually considered as wingers to Greg, because we do not play a second striker. We do not play 2 strikers. We do not play a CAM. So having Weah on this list, Weah is a winger for Greg, period. End of story. Is not going to play center forward for us. And if he does, it'll be a minor miracle and I will applaud it, but it's not going to happen anytime soon.
Well, and I know that we've asked for it, but as far as we know, Berhalter sees Hoppy as a winger and not a center striker.
Exactly. That was going to be my next point.
This is just getting murkier and murkier. So what you're saying is Sargent is no longer 6th. He's 3rd?
At least 4th, because Weah and Hoppy are not center forwards to Berhalter, apparently. the last time Sargent played, he played as a winger as well. So you tell me who's the center forward on this team. I will tell you that this is what Max got to, and it was Zardes is number 3. Okay. Mm-hmm. And you know what? I don't disagree with him. You want to know why I don't disagree with him? Because that's Greg. And Zardes just scored 2 goals this weekend.
In fairness to Zardes, though, when he plays under Berhalter, he doesn't play terrible. And quite frankly, some of my biggest complaints about Zardes is usually his first touch. And the last couple games of at least Gold Cup, his first touches were great.
Wasn't bad at Columbus this weekend either.
I called it out as a fluke, like he was trying to pass the ball, but that was just I was playing for the lulz, in all honesty. But under Berhalter, he does well. So I know a lot of people are like, no Zardes, but when it comes to that, I don't see him number 3 being that terribly off.
It's not, especially if you don't consider in Greg's system Weah or Hoppy as center forwards, because he's going to play him out wing. So you can just eradicate those 2 guys, move Sargent into the 4th spot, right? And even he can play as a winger. Then you got Zardes, and then he says Pefok, which Pefok scored again this weekend. The guy can't stop scoring. So you can't just leave him behind. He's scoring goals.
And I feel like a little bit of Pefok's inclusion higher than Zardes would be based on the fact that he's scoring in Europe right now. Because with the United States, he's had some decent performances, and he got that big goal against Honduras in the Nations League, of course. Mm-hmm. Can't discredit him for that. But I mean, Zardes has been far more productive than Pefok has been. And I'm not saying that may be more of a limited sample size, because Pefok hasn't played as much.
Yeah.
So who knows if Pefok had the amount of time that Zardes has had, what his production level would be.
Right.
But I mean, don't get me wrong. I would list Pefok. I would take Pefok over Zardes also. But I mean, you can make the argument either way.
Well, I mean, he's just listing the guys that are going to make the roster, right? So sure. I can't believe that he thinks that actually 6 center forwards are going to make this roster unless he believes that Weah and Hoppy are also, and Sargent are wing options, which I would agree they are. But he's got Pepe as number 1, and I'm saying, well, yeah,
absolutely.
Pepe just did the business,
right? And well, this is also a limited sample size in the sense we're all playing the "What have you done for me lately?" We all see Pepe stealing. We say, "Well, geez, he's got a lot of fucking promise." And he came in and he got 1 goal, 1 assist, and kind of a second assist, in all honesty. But let's see what it goes. But again, qualifier coming up here. I'm starting Pepe. Absolutely.
I am.
So yes, he is my number 1. But I'm just saying it's also, again, I just want to preface it and say that it is a small sample size in the end that we're going off of. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, I don't think Pepe's going to start every game in the next window, but I do think he will start the majority of them if he keeps scoring and performing.
One point that Berhalter brought up during that interview with Bobby was that 23 players started in the last window. 23 different players. So Berhalter is absolutely keen on rotating players around. Now, of course, some of that stemmed down to Pulisic and not being able to play in the first match, and then McKinney's missing the last 2 matches. Some of that had some effect into it, because if Pulisic didn't have COVID and he was ready for El Salvador, he would have started. And if McKinney didn't go out and enjoy Nashville, he would have started the last 2 games too.
Yeah,
probably.
That part of the interview actually annoyed me a little bit, but because I felt like Berhalter was stroking himself a bit.
He's probably flexing, like arms raised, and like, yeah, 23 players started, 22 else played. It's like, really? Okay.
I don't really care about that. I mean, I'm that's fine and all. But
to that point, though, Pepe's won't start every game this window because of that reason alone. And nor should he. 3 games in 6 days is a lot to ask for most people.
It should get down to tactics. Which player will be the best center forward versus this back line, these two CBs. So you might want a different center forward for one game than you would want another. But right now, for me, I just think it's Pepe and then Pefok. And then you're going to see some Zardes. You just are.
As an insert third striker here, because you can make the argument for Sargent because he's been key through all of Berhalter as well. But if Zardes is healthy and he's obviously scoring goals, I could absolutely see him bringing him up instead.
And we don't really know the personal, one-on-ones that Greg is having with Sargent. And so we don't really know, what that relationship is. And if it's a really strong one, Sargent's going to make this team. He's not going to be left behind. And it might be Hoppy who suffers or somebody else who doesn't get called up. But God damn it, Hoppy needs to make this team.
Well, I personally see Hoppy making the team, but not as a center striker, but more as a winger.
Yeah, he'll be playing out wide, even though Hoppy, I think, has made it clear he'd rather play center forward. So,
well, in the interview, he goes, at first I was upset with playing out wide, but I can understand why Berhalter played me there. And, I got all these looks here doing this, this, and this. But if I had to say start at one position, it'd be center, So yeah, it was definitely kind of a PC approach to it, while also venting, saying like, I'm not a big fan of playing out wide, but I'll do whatever, I guess.
I mean, that's a classical answer you've heard from many players years gone by. Mm-hmm. This isn't my position, but I'll play it. Chandler said it when he was forced to play left back and then right back, and I think Chandler's always said, I think
Johnson,
I'm a winger. Yeah. Fabian Johnson, same thing. Said, this is not position I'll play, but I'll play whatever you want me to play. Yeah, we've seen that a lot. So you're going to see that. You're just, we get back to the wonkiness of Berhalter's interview, and you're like, wow, I hope this guy doesn't overthink things, because I think that's been the problem.
Yep.
Like, people who overthink things and do too much, minutia study, they come back and they're like, yeah, I've got this grand plan. Well, your grand plan might look good on paper, but if you're the kids you have ain't going to,
he mentioned this, the whole overthinking thing. Didn't mention overthinking it, but he mentioned his game plan primarily against El Salvador, for that matter, was to press at the very beginning of the game so that El Salvador sinks back into a very defensive shell, and then slow the game down by passing it around, opening it up, and finding your way through.
Mm-hmm.
And guess what? For the first 25 minutes, we did just that. We pressed. El Salvador sank back. But what happened after that? We didn't we didn't slow it down. We didn't take control of it, and El Salvador worked their way into the game.
And even offensively, when we had possession there were some chances, but we couldn't figure out what to do.
Yeah. And then Canada saw that, said, hey, look, work on that defensive shell. US has no answer. And then we'll just break out on our quick counters.
Playing a 5-4-1.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So, it's that game opened it up. And Berhalter didn't necessarily adjust. And he tried to adjust against Honduras and then realized, I'm going to go back to the drawing board, go back to that 4-3-3,
Yeah.
So
exactly.
It's an interesting take. And we'll see what happens this window with potential injuries, and will X, Y, and Z get called up. We've got a number of players who weren't called up in the last window. We'd love to see this window.
Yeah. In fact, as soon as the player roster is announced, we will have a show the day after. And we'll,
what's gonna be funny is that we'll have the roster will get announced before this video comes out, and then we'll have that video out before this video comes out.
God, I hope not. I'm gonna try to put them out as fast as possible.
Yeah, we'll talk about the roster then, and then it'll be like 3 days after the roster's been announced, and we've had 2 videos since.
So I think it's Monday. So this show's going to come out like Tuesday morning, and the next show Wednesday morning. So yeah, it'll be a close cut. It will be. So we'll see how that works out for us.
Almost feel like that the middle episode, the middle segment probably can get pushed back. It's like first segment, this segment, then third segment or something like that.
Yeah, we maybe do 1, 3, 2. That's not a formation, but it is an option for video.
1, 3, 2 is definitely a formation if you get a couple red cards.
That's true. All right. Until the next time with a straight red card, get some sleep. Make sure that you subscribe and that you like and that you visit our Patreon page that we never mention. But if you go to Patreon and you type in the straight red card, it's we're there. We exist. And do share it. Share it with your dog. Sometimes dogs get turned on by certain vocal frequencies, like they will really get into a show that you are playing on your computer that just soothes them. Like my dog right now, he's out cold.
Well,
he's sleeping.
What people don't realize is periodically through the show, I actually blow a dog whistle just to fuck with other people's dogs.
God, I'm so glad you said whistle. I'm so glad you said whistle. I was wondering where you were going with that. So
are you saying that if I had left whistle off, that would have been completely wrong?
No, if you replace the word whistle with something else, which even whistle's kind of gross, actually. Because I mean, they got the what do they call that? That's the the lipstick, right?
The red rocket.
The red rocket, the lipstick, Yeah. Oh, I'm so glad you said whistle. All right. Until the next time on the straight red card. Yeah, wet your whistle. Good night.